today's Online Money Book Club meet. I welcome all the members who are with me in the Zoom meeting room. I know a lot of women were excited the last time we read this book, and today's book that we have just begun reading is a book that we so love, and I feel really happy to be bringing this back into the community. I think such books, the more we read, the more we gain, and the more we gain from different life stages as well. So currently we are reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, a Clear favorite. And I welcome you all to today's, what we do every Friday evening is read and discuss a book. And this Money Book Club is a place that we started for all women to really embrace learning about finance through books. I think it's one of the easier things to do, a non-judgmental way of starting on building our finance when you are all by yourself with the book, you're reading, and you are taking in information and finding that comfort of stepping into the world of finance. So the purpose of the book club has been to read books on personal finance, investing, habit building, and mindset building. And inside of mindset and habit building, we are reading this amazing book titled Atomic Habits by James Clear. And to kickstart today's discussion, reading and discussion, so how it will flow is the first few minutes we will be reading. And we will be reading from chapter 2, how your habits shape your identity and vice versa. Then we will keep pausing, and then we'll keep coming back together for discussing, sharing of insights. And some things from the book inside of Daily Habits, it says that this book really inspired us in adding that, bringing about that 1% improvement in everything that we do. There's so many areas that we are working on, so just 1% improvement in all these areas, and how significantly it will help us bring a difference by the end of 1 year, right? So that's the whole point. So making a choice that is 1% better or 1% worse seems insignificant in the moment, but over the span of moments that make up a lifetime, these choices determine the difference between who you are and who you could be. So just gonna mute my dear friend Gariba. Hi Gariba. Hey. So just gonna. Okay. All right. So sorry about that. Also, a nice reminder from the book is that success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformation. And I think all the women in the Women on Wealth community, we know this, that success is the product of daily habits. And we have been really talking about bringing that 1% improvement in our financial life, spending 15 minutes every day. The author also reminds us that it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you are right now. What matters is whether your habits are putting you on the path toward success. So on that note, I invite everyone who picked this book up, who are reading for the first time, or who's reading this for the second time, please share, what are some insights you're getting? What do you love about the book so far? And then in a few minutes, we'll begin reading from chapter 2. So whoever would like to share, I invite you all to go one by one. Your initial feelings about the book.
Hey Sheetal, this is Annie here. Hi. Thanks so much for having this wonderful book club session and picking this amazing book, which I happen to just pick up. I think it's been about 3 weeks since I picked it up. So I've been on this habits journey, to be honest, for a while now. And I think Women on Wealth was also a part of that habits journey, right? Because we're trying to change our habits, financial habits and everything. What I picked up very, conspicuously from the book is something that James Clear said about, if you want to change your habits, the first thing you need to change is your identity. Now, that is something I find very interesting, because that's actually something that even with the Women on Wealth program we're trying to do. We're trying to say, I think somewhere we're trying to change our identities and become these people who we want to become, and be more financially aware and independent. And I think he just nails it when he says that you have to change your identity. I've read a ton of habits books, you name it, Power of Habit, or the other habits book, which I think I can shout out to, which has somewhere changed a lot in my life, is Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Amazing, amazing book. Definitely recommend it if you guys want to consider that sometime for a reading. But coming to this one, yeah. So that's something I just wanted to quickly shout out to, is he says that, apart from saying that do it one tiny thing at a time, what really stood out to me is the identity change. So thanks to the Women on Wealth also, which is somewhere helping us to change our identities as women and sort of be this version that we want to be. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why most of us joined the program. So I think this is absolutely apt, reading this book at this time when we are also working with, your team and with Priyanka and on all the different aspects of building our financial foundation. So that's just my 2 cents about the book. I haven't gone too far. I've just finished 2 chapters. I read every morning, so I'm just hoping to continue reading. And that one of the things about these books, you don't want to stop reading them, right? It just you kind of feel bad when they get over, and you're like, man, I want to read it again. So I felt like that about Stephen Covey's book. That's become like my Bible. So I have bookmarked it, and I can't give that book to anybody to read. So I had to buy a different copy for like my husband and my friends and everybody else. But this book is very interesting in its own self. It has its own personality, and I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to see what James Clear actually eventually does with the whole thing. Yeah, I think it's a masterpiece. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Annie. A masterpiece indeed. And who wants to share? What's your experience of this book so far?
Hi, Sheetal, Sally here. So I totally agree with Annie. She's absolutely right about. So Annie's absolutely right about how James Clear talks about the identity bit. That is something that it's kind of very rare to sort of come by. There are a lot of books out there, like Annie says, and this kind of thing is something very rare to come by, because when we talk about habit building, we're only focusing on the external perspective, but then to really focus within ourselves and to like change ourselves within, that is something is not, I at least I haven't heard of in terms of habit building. So I find that as a very interesting bit. I mean, I'm excited about the book. This book has been on my wish list for quite some time. And thanks to the book club, I've been able to catch up to it. And it's actually more fun to read with the book club. I have a lot of questions, and I'm really hoping that, I'll find answers to those as I go ahead or move forward in the book. So one of the things that I think about is like, it's easier for, say, lesser beings like us to sort of evaluate our results or our progress in the short term and maybe dismiss the method, because this is one of those methods. 1% improvement every day. It sounds good, and not many will really sort of take to it unless you are being told to them, in the manner that James Clear talks about. And it can be extremely easy as well to dismiss the method, because we constantly keep having other priorities, and then how do you know, like, what you're doing, like, is it that it is the right thing, so as to continue and stick to the method? Like, how do you know that? And maybe you might be doing something, but then in a wrong way. You might be doing it consistently, but it turns out it may be the wrong way, and you're probably completely unaware of it. So how do you sort of safeguard against those kind of mistakes? Some other things that I've thought about is, sometimes I worry that these methods are applicable only for like one singular big goals. So for example, if you define yourself as, say, an athlete or a business person, then your goals are very, very fixed. Like you have very, very clear goals, or methods to follow, to sort of become, the kind of person that you imagine yourself to be. This is about, this is not just about goals, but then again, how do you define yourself? But then if you are the kind of person who defines herself in many different ways, and I think a lot of women do that, right? Like when we say that we are employees as well, and we are mothers and we're daughters and things like that. And then it can also like sort of take another more expansive view, wherein you are a business person, but then you also are maybe an artist, maybe you're also a sports person, and all of these things are like really interesting. But is it really possible to like play all of those roles? Is it possible to implement this habit and still be able to play all of these roles? Like the example that the book gives about the British cyclists of federation, the sporting team. I think it's one of those examples wherein the athletes don't really have anything. They have a very single-minded, very, very singular goal that they need to perform well. They need to keep a track on what they're achieving. And all of the other things, like, all of those things are sort of outsourced. There are other people doing that for them. Like, they don't have to worry about those things, maybe. So, they don't have to, maybe they only have to focus on building the system for their own goals, which is to do with athletics. So, many of us have different types of goals, and the priority and significance in terms of time can also be the same. So, for example, like in my case, I had a certain goal that I was working towards from the start of the year until last month, and suddenly my priority of goals, the order of it has suddenly changed. So something that I was working on over the past few months, it has suddenly taken a setback. It has taken a backseat, and I'm focusing on something else altogether. So even if you say pursue all of them, maybe you build systems for all of them, and you're following it, then I think the problem is that it may not sit well with the deep work concept. Now, I don't want to really sort of go into the deep work domain right now, but this is just a thought that sort of came to my mind, and I just wanted to share it, because the deep work concept would tell you to focus on one thing and to sort of dedicate most of your time towards that, and not divert your attention anywhere else, something of the sort. So how do you, I can see the deep work concept and the system engulfing the atomic habits system, but I can also see them sort of sitting at odds with one another at the same time. So these are some of the dilemmas. I hope I can find answers to these questions as I read forward. If anyone has any insights, I'll be glad to hear from them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saili, for that. And Annie has a response for you in the chat. I do want to bring Sumedha, who had wanted to share something. Please go ahead, Sumedha. Welcome.
Hi, Sheetal. Good evening, all of you. This is my first book club meeting, so I'm really happy to be here. So the reason I joined Money Gym program was because of Atomic Habits. I had started reading Atomic Habits, and I thought, yes, I need to build a system to myself. I need to bring about a change and the power of system. That's when I attended Priyanka's introductory session. So I thought, yes, I need a system. So the book, it actually speaks about 3 phases, which happens when you start building a habit. So one, I think it's the value of disappointment. So where you think nothing is going right, even though you're doing everything right, you're working towards the system, you're following the system, you're not seeing any significant change, but the change is happening. Perhaps 0.1%, perhaps 1%, but the change is happening, which is not really visible to you. Then he speaks about something which really, it kind of hit me. That is the plateau of latent potential, where you don't really know that the change is happening. It's just like stagnant. And then suddenly at one point in your life, it just unleashes and there is no stopping you. So that is the power of the system. That is the power of consistency. He speaks about that. And I think if we start following a system, it won't be that, cumbersome. It won't be that, what do we say, something on heavy on the mind. Okay, I need to follow this. It'll become a way of life. That's what he speaks about. Being a doctor, this line where he speaks about, where it's not about treating the symptom, it's about treating the cause. It really resonated with me, because we always try to, like, imagine our rooms are dirty, we try to clean it up and that's it. But the cause is procrastination. Every day, if we make up our mind to clean our room, to make sure that this is done, I think that's a way of life. And that is the reason I think this book is wonderful. That's it. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You sort of summarize the first few chapters, I think. I invite others who'd like to share a few of your few words on how you're feeling about the first few chapters. Guys, anyone would like to share?
I actually did not do my homework this week. I did not read the book, but I think, I have struggled for many years with building good habits. And mostly what I realized is I began feeling very overwhelmed. So that was one problem which stood in the way. And I think this idea of procrastination, it's just a word that we use a lot, but we need to go deeper into the why of why are we procrastinating, right? Like break it down, and it's different for everybody. Like sometimes there's an emotional reason for it, and sometimes it's that you get overwhelmed or whatever it is. But yes, I mean, I feel like what has really helped me is to break down everything into very tiny steps. So I'm a writer, and I would find myself delaying writing forever. So I would not write only for a long time. So one thing I do now is, say I have to write a piece, I will just say in my diary, today I'm only going to write like 3 lines about X. I make sure I do that. And then it becomes so much easier for me. And, that is just the beginning. After a point, like, everything just clears up, like that brain fog just clears up. And I find myself being able to get outcomes very quickly now. So suppose I say I'm going to do this today, and I'm very careful that I make it very limited, like not too much, just 3 or 4 things. Whereas maybe 5 years back, I would put 10 things, but I would never achieve any of them. I've achieved so much more by just saying I'll do less, and like breaking everything into really tiny steps. So that's been like my experience of building better habits, and I must say it literally started from Money Gym, pretty much, just doing those things, and then it has percolated through the rest of life.
Thanks, Meryl, for sharing that. I think for a lot of us, even for me, it all began from Money Gym. Anything that I've picked up inside of self-development has all been through that has been the beginning point for me. Okay, anyone else? Christina, Bhagya, Savita, Sinduri, Raksha, Nidhi, Garima, Ritu, Pallavi, Anusha, Kokil, Rakhi. So Richa, Aparna, anybody would like to share?
I want to jump in for a minute. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
I just read the first chapter, I think, and that 1% really confused me, because it was so easy, to read and understand. Oh, 1% every day is nothing. By the end of the year, you calculate the whole thing and say, oh, 37%. But the thing is, how do you persist that 1%? For me, the question is 1% is only for one day. That 1% will make it 365%. Because that 1% goes on every day. The thing is, 1 week is fine, 7 days, 8 days, 10 days. Sometimes this procrastination or whatever we say, it starts after that. Initially we are all into full form to start that, specifically when you're reading the book, getting into the habits. But the thing is to be persistent throughout the year, which becomes a problem. I relate everything to my gymming thing. So it took me 5 years now. But initially you feel, no, you'll get up in the morning, start your workout, and you do it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. But then to be persistent throughout the year, it is a difficult thing. I mean, I don't know, but I feel it's very easy when we read it. It's a very difficult task to build up habits, actually.
So, Rakhi, I'll agree with you.
It is very hard. But trust me, if you invest in it, it's just like Naval used to say, right? Like,
yeah,
do the hard work now and then it gets easier. Like, it's inevitable,
I think, Rakhi, we have to choose our hard.
yeah.
Right? So going to the gym is hard, but going for a medical checkup or a treatment is harder. So I think that's what Money Gym eventually, because I remember initial days, I told Sheetal in our first second connect, I don't even want to look at my bank statements like 4 years ago because you are so guilty of it, right? But then I realized what is harder. Harder is not to know where your money is going. So persistency will come if we decide what hard we want to choose. I don't know, that's what at least works for me. But still, I will admit going to the gym is hard now that winter is in. So working towards it.
I think that patience also is the key factor here in that. Because as Garima said, I have also had a discussion with Sheetal, like what to do, what not to do. And while reading Deep Work, the book, like the very first book in my book club meeting. So I started doing some of the things and I was very, doing rigorously, but after a point in time, everything like just piled up. Like I'll do it this like tomorrow, maybe after an. It started from an hour. Like I told Chita that I have stopped using WhatsApp. Like schedule the time using for WhatsApp and Instagram to 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Now I'm again back to that doing the nonsense thing again. I say this nonsense thing because somewhere the things got disrupted. So now I think like giving myself time and being in the community and listening from you guys will keep me on track, like whatever the thing I'm doing or not. If I skipped also, just be there listening to you. Okay, you guys also face this thing and this is the point you came back on like track. I can also do it if I missed on some point, and those are the things. So yeah, like the way Meryl discussed, like Garima has discussed, like you guys have been doing so many things from a very long time. As in some point, like I read like 7 pages of the book only, and it says that initially you'll feel there is an example of that ice cube, like first 23 degrees, 25 degrees, then 26 degrees. It doesn't impact. We see no impact has been seen, but when it reaches 29, we can see it start melting. So I think I should be giving time. Maybe I'll make the mistakes initially, and then at a point something will come up. So yeah.
Again, I guess all of these are, tools, all the books we read, the structures we put in place, right? These are just tools that we have. And then the more we become aware of them, and it's also human, procrastination is human, right? But, and 1% is just a tool to avoid procrastinating. The moment I know that I'm procrastinating, thinking of sitting down and doing that something for 1 hour is hard, but we also need to get the job done. So what do? We do use a tool called 1% improvement. That's what it is. So all of these are tools that we use to make certain important things happen. And so many of us are asking, we still procrastinate. We are not perfect beings. And then it just goes down to, what is my why? Why did I start doing this in the first place? And that's when we keep coming back to again. Oh, okay, that's why I had started, because I want more money flowing in when I'm old. Okay, let's get back. So many. And again, this is also a tool. Asking yourself, what is my why, is also a tool. So that's the beauty of all of these amazing books and discussions. I think we'll never get to that point where we are perfect, but these are all practices. So wonderful. I think let's switch to some reading now. Very excited.
Just before we shift it, sorry, Sheetal, just wanted to, because I heard some very good questions and pointers from the group, and I just wanted to sort of share one of the things that helped me combat the procrastination, which I am famous for, if I can just say. It's almost impossible to get over that particular aspect. And it's very hard, as everyone acknowledges it is. But one of the things I took away again from Stephen Covey's book, I'm definitely talking a lot about that book because it actually has a lot of good stuff in there. So one of the things Covey says is the importance of having a daily planner in our lives. And this is something that has changed a lot of things for me in my life personally, whether it is my personal goals, whether it is my work professional goals, or whether it is anything, even just the way I look at my day, the way I look at my mornings, it has completely changed. So I ordered a planner on Amazon, and he's given a few templates of how to use it. And boy, has it made a difference. So literally, it's become my morning routine, where before I can hit the desk for work, with my morning tea, the first thing I do is I write stuff in the planner. So it's writing things for that week. Now, week, you can do it based on week, you can do it based on the day, it could be anything. I have taken a week one. So I pretty much write for that particular week. So Monday morning, I start with all the things that I want to focus on in that week. And I review it every day. And my goal is to check it off, or to, cross whatever I have written. And so the next day, so by Thursday or Wednesday, if I have not crossed a few, start feeling guilty that, oh my God, why am I not doing it? And then that sort of drives you to do it. So that's one of the things that has really helped to combat that. One of the other things, which Covey also has highlighted in his book, is the 4-quadrant method. 4-quadrant is where he actually has an image of segregating your work into urgent, not urgent, important, not important. So first quadrant, urgent, important, and so on. So these are just ways in which we can sort of, when we put pen to paper, we get a better understanding of, okay, what do I give more priority to? What is my less priority item and more priority there? I think doing this slowly, not doing it every day, honestly, let me tell you, I'm not doing the quadrant thing every day. I still have it on my whiteboard. Sometimes I don't even look at it. But then just having it around sort of helps. And the planner thing definitely helps a lot. It's just it's like tuning that muscle and making it a little more, So yeah, that's just something I wanted to quickly share, because I know all of us are trying to fight this out amongst ourselves. Thanks.
Thank you, Annie. Yeah, and that conversation on the planner just reminded me of this person I sometimes follow. His name is Professor Jordan B. Peterson. He's quite popular on the internet, and he's also written this book called 12 Rules for Life. Correct. I haven't read that book, but I watched this one small clipping on Facebook where he talked about, whenever, and I try and do that. That was a learning for me. So whenever there's so many things that we say that we will do, and then, okay, we will do this. but we don't immediately necessarily get into the planning mode. We will do, it will be done. How, we have not thought about it. And for example, but in that one clipping, he talked about, if we just take 5 minutes out to think, okay, how will it happen, when will it happen, just 5 minutes, I've said I will do this, for example. And it takes me back to this example of, where I'm supporting somebody on creating, let's say, an NPS account. It's a long, tedious process. And it's you have to fill so many pages just to realize that, oh, I don't have that one document ready, for example, that I need to be uploading now. And in all of that, you get stopped, number one. And these are basic stuff. We need all of these for KYC and all of those, but we just think, oh, I need to get my NPS account, sit down and now start. But if we give 5 minutes, okay, before I do this, what are some of the things we need? So, the 5 minutes of at least giving yourself, even if it is to, okay, tomorrow I need to go and maybe buy a dress, 5 minutes of thinking and planning, I think it's also going to help us really manage our time well, instead of just rushing out of the door. So that the tip also sometimes I apply, and it reminds me to just stop and think. Then I'm able to, I think, it makes it easy. And I think that stopping and then thinking for 5 minutes also helps us break the process down into smaller pieces. And then I can implement the 1%. So out of everything that I need to do, today I will do 1% of getting closer to my goal of creating an NPS account, which means today I'll just collect my documents. That's it. Tomorrow I may sit down and start to, scan, upload, whatever. So again, various tools, various learning that we mishmash to make our life simpler, right? So that I wanted to share. Okay, so I would call upon some of you to volunteer in reading the book, the lovely book. So who would like to go first? Just put your name. I'll share the book on the screen and you can read it from there for everyone. Thank you. Okay, so anyone who wants to read for the community, we will be starting from chapter 2. If there's no background noise, if you're not at work, then you could read for us.
If no one is volunteering, then I can.
Yes, a different kind of sermon, Garima. I just can't get over that joke from the previous book.
All right, my children,
Here we go.
Anyway, how your habits shape your identity and vice versa. Why is it so easy to repeat bad habits and so hard to form a good one? Few things have a more powerful impact on your life than improving your daily habits. And yet, it is likely that this time next year, you'll be doing the same thing rather than doing something better. It often feels difficult to keep good habits going for more than a few days, even with sincere effort and the occasional burst of motivation. Habits like exercise, meditation, journaling, and cooking are reasonable for a day or two and then become a hassle. However, once your habits are established, they seem to stick around forever, especially the unwanted ones. Despite our best intentions, unhealthy habits like eating junk food, watching too much television, procrastinating, and smoking can feel impossible to break. Changing our habits for two reasons. One, we try to change the wrong thing. And two, we try to change our habits in the wrong way. In this chapter, I'll address the first point. In the chapters that I follow, I'll answer the second. Our first mistake is that we try to change the wrong thing. To understand what I mean, consider that there are 3 levels at which change can occur. You can imagine them like 3 layers of an onion. 3 layers of behavior change. It starts with outcomes, processes, and identity. The first layer is changing your outcomes. This level is concerned with changing your results, losing weight, publishing a book, winning a championship. Most of the goals you set are associated with this level of change. The second layer of changing is your process. This level is concerned with changing your habits and systems. Implementing a new routine at the gym, decluttering your desk for better workflow, developing a meditation practice. Most of the habits you build are associated with this level. The third and the deepest layer of change is your identity. This level is concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgments about yourself and others. Most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases you hold are associated with this level. Outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do. Identity is about what you believe. When it comes to building habits that last, when it comes to building a system of 1% improvements, the problem is not that one level is better or worse than another. All levels of change are useful in their own way. The problem is the direction of change. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads us to outcome-based habits. The alternative is to build identity-based habits, which with this approach, we start to focus on who we wish to become. So we have outcome-based, identity-based habits. And then imagine two people resisting a cigarette. When offered a smoke, the first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." It sounds like a reasonable response, but this person still believes they are a smoker who is trying to be something else. They are hoping their behavior will change while carrying around the same belief. The second person declines by saying, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's a small difference, but this statement signals a shift in identity. Smoking was part of their former life, not their current one. They no longer identify as someone who smokes. Most people don't even consider identity change when they set out to improve. They just think, "I want to be skinny," which is an outcome. And if I stick to this diet, then I will become skinny, which is the process. They set goals and determine the actions they should take to achieve those goals without considering the belief that drives their actions. They never shift the way they look at themselves, and they don't realize that their old identity can sabotage their new plans for change. Behind every system of action are a system of beliefs. The system of a democracy is founded on beliefs like freedom, majority rule, and social equality. The system of a dictatorship has a very different set of beliefs like absolute authority and strict obedience. You can imagine many ways to try and get more people to vote in a democracy, but such behavior change would never get off the ground in a dictatorship. That's not the identity of the system. Voting is a behavior that is impossible under a certain set of beliefs. A similar pattern exists whether we are discussing individuals, organizations, or societies. There are a set of beliefs and assumptions that shape the system and identity behind these habits. Behavior that is incongruent with the self will not last. You may want more money, but if your identity is someone who consumes rather than creates, then you will continue to be pulled towards spending rather than earning. You may want better health, but if you continue to prioritize comfort over accomplishment, you will be drawn to relaxing rather than training. It's hard to change your habits if you never change the underlying belief that led to your past behavior. You have a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. The story of Brian Clark, an entrepreneur from Boulder, Colorado, provides a good example. "For as long as I can remember, I've chewed my fingernails," Clark told me. "It started as a nervous habit when I was young, and then morphed into an undesirable grooming ritual. One day, I resolved to stop chewing my nails until they grew out a bit. Through mindful willpower alone, I managed to do it." Then Clark did something surprising. I asked my wife to schedule my first ever manicure, he said. My thought was that if I started paying attention to my paying to maintain my nails, I wouldn't chew them. And it worked, but not for monetary reasons. What happened was the manicure made my fingers look really nice for the first time. The manicurist even said that other than the chewing, I had really healthy and attractive nails. Suddenly, I was proud of my fingernails. And even though that's something I have never aspired to, it made all the difference. I have never ever chewed my nails since, and not even a single close call. And it's because I now take pride in properly caring for them. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. It's one thing to say, I'm the type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say, I'm the type of person who is this. The more pride you have in a particular aspect of your identity, the more motivated you will be to maintain the habits associated with it. If you're proud of how your hair looks, you will develop all sort of habit to care for it. If you're proud of the size of your biceps, you'll make sure you never skip an upper body workout. If you're proud of the calves you knit, you'll be more likely to spend hours knitting each week. Once your pride gets involved, you will fight tooth and nail to maintain your habits. True behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with one is that it becomes part of your identity. Anyone can convince themselves to visit the gym or eat healthy once or twice. But if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, then it is hard to stick with the long-term changes. Improvements are only temporary until they become part of who you are. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument. The goal is to become a musician. Your behaviors are usually a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indication of the type of person you believe that you are, either consciously or unconsciously. Research has shown that once a person believes in a particular aspects of their identity, they are more likely to act in alignment with that belief. For example, people who identify as being a voter were more likely to vote than those who simply claimed voting was an action they performed. Similarly, the person who incorporates exercise into their identity doesn't have to convince themselves to train. Doing the right thing is easy. After all, when your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you are no longer pursuing behavior changes. You are simply acting like the person you already believe yourself to be. Like all aspects of habit formation, this too is a double-edged sword. When working for you, identity change can be a powerful force for self-improvement. When working against you, though, identity change can be a curse. Once you have adopted an identity, it can be easy to let your allegiance to it impact your ability to change. Many people walk through life in a cognitive slumber, blindly following the norms attached to their identity. I'm terrible with directions. I'm not a morning person. I'm bad at remembering people's name. I'm always late. I'm not good with technology. I'm horrible at math. And 1,000 other beliefs. When you have repeated a story to yourself for years, it is easy to slide into these mental grooves and accept them as a fact. In time, you begin to resist certain actions because that's not who I am. There is an internal pressure to maintain your self-image and behave in a way that is consistent with your beliefs. You find whatever you can avoid. You find whatever you can to avoid contradicting yourself. The more deeply a thought or action is tried, the more deeply a thought or action is tied to your identity, the more difficult it is to change it. It can feel comfortable to believe what your culture believes, group identity, or to do what upholds your self-image, personal identity, even if it is wrong. The biggest barrier to positive change at any level, individual, team, society, is identity conflict. Good habits can make rational sense, but if they conflict with your identity, you will fail to put them into actions. On any given day, you may struggle with your habits because you are too busy or too tired or too overwhelmed or hundreds of other reasons. Over the long run, however, the real reason you fail to stick with habits is that your self-image gets in the way. This is why you can't get too attached to the one version of your identity. Progress requires unlearning. Becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. This brings us to an important question. If your belief and worldview play such an important role in your behavior, where do they come from in the first place? How exactly is your identity formed? And how can you emphasize new aspects of your identity that serve you and gradually erase the pieces that hinder you? The two-step process to changing your identity. Your identity emerges out of your habits. You are not born with preset beliefs. Every belief, including those about yourself, is learned and conditioned through experience. More precisely, your habits are how you embody your identity. When you make your bed each day, you embody the identity of an organized person. When you write each day, you embody the identity of a creative person. When you train each day, you embody the identity of an athletic person. The more you repeat a behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with that behavior. In fact, the word identity was originally derived from the Latin words essentitas, which means being, and identitem, which means repeatedly. Your identity is literally your repeated beingness. Whatever your identity is right now, you only believe it because you have proof of it. If you go to church every Sunday for 20 years, you have evidence that you are religious. If you study biology for 1 hour every night, you have evidence that you are studious. If you go to the gym, even when it's snowing, you have evidence that you are committed to fitness. The more evidence you have for a belief, the more strongly you will believe it. For most of my early life, I didn't consider myself a writer. If you were to ask any of my high school teachers or college professors, they would tell you I was an average writer at best, certainly not a standout. When I began my writing career, I published a new article every Monday and Thursday for the first few years. As the evidence grew, so did my identity as a writer. I didn't start out as a writer. I became one through my habits.
So pausing here for now. Thank you so much, Garima, for reading for everybody. Okay. So I was just sharing in the chat as well that how, just reading the chapters 1 and 2, we get a flood of ideas and, oh, this one, we want to do this, or this is the area I want to work on. But personally, I was thinking that, again, we always look at how is it that what I'm reading I can practically take to my life. So, my suggestion was that at least I personally would like to take up one goal as I'm reading this book with everybody. For example, getting back onto working out every day is something that I've been struggling with. So I would want to keep that as a goal as I read this and see how I can build the system that it teach me the shift in identity and everything, but just keep one goal in mind as I read this book. So just asking if anybody else is here who would like to also take on something like this.
Yeah, I'd love to take on being more disciplined with the money life. That's actually one of the first things that I've been trying to work on. And that's why the habits and all the books is work on money sheet. It's like every day, so yeah, that's one of my goals for sure, just to be a little more disciplined, no doubt. I mean, we all have the desire, we have the dream, but to really do it and be disciplined, that's one from my end. And yeah, also practice my dance as I'm pursuing a classical dance. I'm pursuing a diploma in it. So pursuing that and practicing every day for some time, taking the time out and putting it in my schedule somewhere so I don't miss it is the other thing. Yeah.
these are the two, Sheetal, that I've been trying to really work around. And these books have helped.
Got that, Annie. So I think I now need to really sit down and look at what's that identity that I want to adopt, just go through the book again and then look at, like, I may pick up, I am an athletic person, but I am not doing any kind of walking as well, but first I have to bring that identity shift. So I'm an athletic person, and what does an athletic person do? Well, the person runs and works out, and the same for you. And for a lot of at least the women in our community, the identity is we may have come from whatever background with money, but now we all say that we are wealth creators. So identifying each woman as a wealth creator, and then the other things we pick up and learn and implement and build the system. So you are a wealth creator, Annie.
And you're a dancer.
I hope so.
And you're a dancer.
And you're a dancer.
What does a dancer do, Annie? Dances every
dancer
day,
dances.
Yes. So now you have to find a way to ensure that you practice every day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Will teach us.
So
okay. Yes.
Yep.
Anyone else who would like to?
I'm curious to know from Annie though, like, what is it, that thing that gets in the way of dancing every day?
Oh,
is it
thousand things.
Like you're not getting the time, or like there's no fixed time for it?
Yeah. So initially, I did a lot of writing. I would write in my planner every day. I would do this, I would do that. And I still would go through. So I would, when I get up from my desk after work, I'm drained, right? So it's like typical thing, working in front of the computer the whole day. And then you're like, I just don't want to do it. I'm just so tired. And then I started asking myself, I mean, apart from the visualizing part of it and everything, is what is the best time for me to do it when I will not have any obstruction, where all these, external factors won't influence me to not to do it? What is the best time of the day? So identifying the time of the day was very crucial to me, when there would be nothing, no distractions, and my mind would not go into the no direction. It would go to the yes direction. And finding that slot was key. So initially I thought it was going to be the morning time of the day, which it didn't work out because I had to start my work early and all that. Now finally I have found the slot where when I finish my work, I have my tea, and then I've told everyone at home that this is when I'm going to practice. So I identified that time. Things that were getting in the way, Meryl, were basically organization oriented, that I'm not able to figure out when I should do this. I know I want to do it, and maximum I'm just going to need 30 minutes. I'm not even going to practice for 2 hours or 1 hour. 30 minutes is more than enough. But to find that 30 minutes was becoming such a struggle, because you're doing so much in a day, and working from home is just not helping in these circumstances. As much as it is, I'm grateful for it in many ways, but sometimes it gets in your way. So I really found that time. I even put it in my calendar, in my work calendar, so nobody can book meetings or nothing, and it shows busy and all that. Identifying that time when I can actually just focus and not have any obstructions, that helped me to go through it.
You said a very interesting thing, like, I feel like if you don't calendar something, it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Like
I'm such a calendar person.
It's like it doesn't exist. And the other thing I feel is, I don't think that, we do tend to put too many things in our day. So you will get drained, right? Like your brain can only process so much. If you want to do an activity, like a creative activity, you need an empty head for like 1 hour before it, right? So
absolutely,
that has really worked for me. And I think it has helped me become intentional. And that intentionally then leads to the expansion of the identity, right?
Correct.
Because you start really thinking, if I'm making chai to meet somebody, it's very intentional. Like I've prioritized it. It's not just casual, right? So that really helps, I feel.
And I also identified with your concern, Meryl, about writing, because I'm also, there is a hidden writer in me as well. And yeah, I had a dream of writing a book and all that by a certain age. We all have that thing. Writing is another thing that I'm trying to challenge myself for now. That's like next in my card. I'm able, to get through. I'm just taking it slowly, one step at a time, and not trying to do everything together. But I know how difficult and challenging writing is for a lot of us. So yeah, I'm hoping someday to get there too. So I totally understand.
Calendar it now for whichever year you're gonna do it. I'm telling
Yeah,
you, it
I
works.
know.
Like book water-wise.
Absolutely. We live by our calendars, so we're so like handicapped without it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, so any last thoughts before we complete? We will continue to read this chapter. I was really looking at, how we segment the chapters, and it can be an easy read if we just read it. But if we want to really reap some benefits out of the goodness out of this book, then slowly taking it in and really building whatever we are learning from the book, really building it into our lives. So I kind of wanted to propose that we take it slow. So taking this chapter and the next one, so chapter 2 and 3, but sitting down with it and really see what is that, what's the difference we want to cause through this book in our life. And if we need to pick up speed at any point, we can, but wanted to just take it slow for everyone to really take the goodness out of this book. Okay. So chapters, this 1, 2, and 3 for the upcoming week, and keep sharing, what are you really applying in your lives. Okay. I am taking on the fitness part of it. Anybody else is joining me on this fitness ride?
Yeah, I go every day, Sheetal, like I mentioned. So, I wake up tired. But I think you're right. I think I want to do it, but it's just that the winter is coming in. But let's back each other up, let's be partners
Yeah.
in helping each other do better.
Okay.
I work out every day from like 7 to 7:45. So I'll put a picture in the group. If anybody wants to join me, please put your selfies there of yourself working out. It might
That's a
help.
good idea.
Okay.
That's actually a good idea, right? Sharing what you've done.
So I just want to quickly share this. So there was this workout group that I joined. And after, I used to go to the gym. Gyms were expensive. I used to sign up and then go and then stop going, the same old story. It helped. If it helped being a part of a WhatsApp group where it was initiated by one of my dance community members, and they were doing this workout program by this wonderful person called Caroline Girvan. She has this epic program. She's there on YouTube, really good. It was like a program for 40 days and then 50 days and then so on and so forth. It helps to be a part of the group because they would post updates saying, I did this and I had challenges. And then I started posting every day my workout session. And I would like take a pic of not myself, but of the laptop that I finished it. And I would just sort of send that. And when I noticed something, when the conversation stopped, I stopped working out. So, it's both ways. So I mean, but it's good. It's really good to be a part of a group. I think it just pushes you. So maybe we can think of something like that. We can maybe create a small group of, whoever wants to work out, they can, update. And we need somebody to do it religiously every day, right? So if one of us can show that dedication, we will feel that, oh, you know what, I should also do it. So Meryl is the person. Yeah.
Yes.
Meryl, you're gonna do it for us.
I don't mind doing it like in the same group, but like starting another group is like
no, yeah, same group.
Yeah, it's like too many groups, but I
Yeah.
actually work out every day. So I'm happy.
Very
to do
good.
it right now.
Yes.
Very
So
good.
I think we can, for the as we're working with this book, then we use the Telegram, and for a few of us, it's working out on our physical health. For some of us, it could be something else. But let's keep a goal in mind as we're reading, and then we implement. That's the practice. Basically, that's what it is.
Yep. Oh, there you go. Garima found Caroline. Awesome. She's amazing. Yeah.
But the fact is, Google listens to Zoom. I had
Of
barely
Look
written
at that,
anything,
right?
and I immediately got Caroline
Look-
Kirwan without
look at
typing
that.
anything.
It's
Yes.
insane. Yeah.
But I think you're right. Yeah, let's do that. If somebody wants to be an athlete or
Yeah.
a wealth manager, let's just support each other.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm a healthy person. I like my body. That's the
I just
identity.
Correct.
We love it
Correct.
too much to just keep giving it rest. That's the problem. So,
Mm.
You're a lazy person then.
no,
That's the identity.
I think
no, then
basically,
it's how you
basically
word
find
it.
that motivation.
Yes.
Find that that one line motivation. Like for me, I think it was a complete health breakdown. My vitals were off the charts. And it was like a very make or break situation. And it took me at least 1 year to make it a habit. But it's been a
Yeah.
habit now for the last 2 years. So it's going to be for the rest of my life. Like I'll never not work out,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like what
think,
you
yeah,
said, Meryl.
true.
1 year to make that habit. That's the
1
amount of
year.
time it actually needs to
365
really,
days of
yes,
365 days of running
Repeating.
is, I think,
Yes.
Sometimes
the
I
challenge
would
I
go
need
for a
to.
walk for 5 minutes and come back. But I would say, wow, I went for 5 minutes. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the
correct.
1%. Okay, so thank you so much. On this note, we complete here. Lovely discussion and sharing, and so much that I'm taking back. So thank you. We'll see you all next week. Do keep sharing. So Mary, we look forward to your update in the Telegram group, and Garima, yours too, and mine too, no matter where
Sounds
we
good.
are.
Sounds good,
So
ladies.
thank you,
Let's
and
do it.
see you.
Yes, let's do
it.
Yep.
Let's
Take
do
care,
it.
everyone. Lots of
Thanks.
Thanks,
love.
ladies. Have a
Bye,
good weekend.
ladies.
Have
Thank
a good
you.
weekend.
Bye-bye.